You want me to do it, Wayne?
Would that be great, Jim? If you're willing to do it, that's great.
Because I can see the agenda.
Okay, that's right. All right, you've got it there. I now see it. Okay.
All right, are we ready to go?
We are
Yes.
almost there. Give me just 1 second.
I'll wait for Asia to tell me when we're good.
Okay, we are live on YouTube. Take it away, Jim.
Okay, this is Jim Beisman, member of the Lincoln County Fair Board. I'll call the Thursday, December 9th, 2021 meeting of the Fair Board to order. Let the record reflect that a quorum is present, that Frank Geltner is present by phone, and I am present, and Commissioner Hall is excused. And so let's move now to approval of the minutes for November 17th, 2021, which I believe have been previously sent to the members of the board. Frank, do you have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
Only the ones that I shared with Asia already, and that one was a typo. One was I had asked if we could clarify for the minutes what we meant by consultants. And then I raised the question: is it proper to list Wayne as county counsel? And that's, if it is, it's no problem. It just, I thought that was that once he's retired, he's no longer by that title.
Maybe I can address the three things, and we did correct the minutes. I am still part of the county counsel's office, so if you say Council Belmont, it's not unusual to say Council Herbage or Council Gardner, or when Kristen, before she became county counsel, say Council Ewell. So that's okay, but you are correct, and the record will reflect that in the future, that my new title is very junior assistant county counsel. That's what I go by. So thanks for seeing that, but I'm no longer county counsel. That's number one. Number two is the consultant team is the animal shelter consultant team. What that is that we've got a group of people that have been working on the project in conjunction with our internal staff, and then with the city of Newport, as we prepare for the next step is getting a conditional use application filed. In fact, we had a meeting this morning discussing the progress on that, and some additional work that, in our discussions with the city, additional work that we need to do.
Okay, very good.
So, Frank, are you satisfied with the minutes then as corrected?
I am. Thank you.
I am as well. Frank, you want to make a motion for approval of the minutes then?
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes as corrected in our online discussion.
All right, and I will second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let the record reflect that the motion passed. Could I see the agenda again, please, Asia? Okay. Next, we have OSU Extension 4-H update. Mr. Williver, can you take that one, please?
I can, and thank you, everybody. Busy month for 4-H. We're of course up and running as of October with some COVID limitations, but I think we're all enjoying the relative freedoms that we're getting from the previous year. The after-school program running in the Pick of the Litter building is clipping right along with 20-ish kids in attendance most days. A few maintenance headaches with that building, some leaks, some rodent issues, but between Heather and Jack and Shelley Spangler, our educator, we're getting those taken care of. We also Shelley Spangler's been doing a Christmas wreath sale out of the Pick of the Litter building, and we did have the Christmas tree sale again this year. We missed it once, missed it for a year last year, and the community went kind of crazy wondering where the trees were and why they couldn't get them at the fairgrounds. So Christmas trees are back as of Monday. They were down to just 60 trees, And I'm assuming that this weekend will be the last weekend. So if you haven't gotten your tree, you better go there quick and get it. Working with Eli on scheduling, it's like any new relationship, it's taking a little time to warm in, but we're getting it figured out. We had an incident where we had sort of double booked the livestock barn between the Small Woodlands Association, aka Soil and Water Conservation, I think is who's now taking over that tree sale, their native plant sale. And we had the Christmas tree sale going at the same time, but we did a little quick shuffling and put those guys together. And they're going to be working together this weekend on Saturday, doing both Christmas trees and the native plant sale all together. And I think they're both very excited about it. So little organizational chaos that turned out to be a good thing, I think. No other, well, yeah, I do have one other update, I guess. My role is definitely changing with 4-H youth development in the state of Oregon. Although the ink isn't dry yet, it appears as though I am going to be 40% time shooting sports across the state here in Oregon, 25% time in Alaska. They're gonna buy out part of my salary to do shooting sports in Alaska, and that'll leave me about 3/10 time here in Lincoln County. So I don't anticipate anything to change. That's going to free up a little of my salary to be able to backfill both Heather and Brittany. They'll be able to pick up some of that slack and make things work. I will still be around for meetings, volunteer management, that sort of thing, and certainly the fair. That certainly is a priority this year, and I've committed to doing it, as has Mr. Belmont, I will remind, and we will get that done. That said, two things really. Heather may be a little more in direct contact with, especially with Jack over maintenance issues and some of the goings on of the county commons on occasion. And I was delighted to see the MOU today, because one of the important things to do this year is going to be to hopefully get those working fair board members on board, so that we can start sharing that responsibility and making things run a little bit smoother. It was a real blessing to have Mr. Belmont helping with the fiscal end of things, but there are certainly some other projects that we can task out to the new people as they come on board that will be very, very beneficial, not just for me in my position, but I think getting that fair board ultimately more involved in the operation of the fair. So we're looking forward to that, and it looks like the timing is probably good along those lines. Certainly happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Welliver?
Not from Frank.
And with that, again, I will just thank you guys for the support. I couldn't do it without you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Welliver. Next, we'll move to county staff update. Mr. Belmont.
Let me start off by saying that I did take advantage of the 4-H Christmas tree sale this year, and actually picked out a Christmas tree. And I'll tell you, Todd, I think it might be the nicest Christmas tree we've had in the last 5 years. It was really nice to get that and get it accomplished this early and up this early. It's not usually happening in the Belmont household that early. So that was nice. I appreciate it. And the organization of the sale and the way they had things coming in and out was really nice. So kudos to 4-H for that. What I'd like to really focus on at the front end of this, and Todd hit on some of it here, is that we're obviously going through some transitions, all of us coming up here. One of the things that will be part of that transition is to, thanks for your service, Fair Board members, but moving on to a new Fair Board to solicit members who want to come in and work on the county fair. And as Todd had indicated, we're looking for people who will be very active members. This is not a passive kind of board in the future for the fair event. To actually, they will be front and center in terms of putting on the fair event. But one of the things we need to do to set that structure up in order to move forward with this is to basically take some of the practices and policies that we've had in place for the years that, especially Jim and Frank, you've been members of the fair board, many of those practices, and the changes we're seeing on the grounds itself, which is precipitated first by the renaming of the grounds as the commons, reflective of its expanded use, but also then in focusing as the primary event and activity that takes place on the grounds as being the fair during the fair period here, and put all that into an agreement. So it's very clear as we move forward with the redevelopment of the grounds, move forward with new administration on the county side too, that we have an understanding of where things go, who's responsible for what parts of the activities or properties out there, and how this really comes together with the resources that I've been dedicated and are available for these particular activities. So I have been looking over the course of the last number of months at what some other counties have done in terms of arrangements they've made between their fair boards and board of commissioners. And it's mostly around the property management side of things, as you can see from ours too, and really clarifying some roles and responsibilities, which I think is extremely important. And we have, of course, done some variety of things in terms of the financing by having voter approved referred measures that actually subsidize a lot of the activity that we're talking about in this particular area. And those are things that are under the purview of the Board of Commissioners. So we just wanted to straighten those things out, get it all together, lay the groundwork, and then move forward with the new administration on the county side, and then with selecting a new fair board in the future on the fair board side. So you have in front of you a draft of what an agreement looks like. And again, I've looked at a number of other counties. I've modified this quite extensively to fit our needs here. It's, I think, pretty straightforward. It really doesn't deviate, with the exception of identifying the fact that the county now will have a county administrator versus maybe some of the role that I had before as the county council. We'll have an administrator position. And so a lot of the things that I had done will be placed under the administrator or that person's delegee or contractor or whatever they're going to decide to do. But other than that, really is very reflective of what we have been doing for a number of years here. And also, though, the other thing that's, I think, extremely important is we have found and discovered something I think we knew before, but that the county commons is actually a multi-purpose property, that it became a center for response and recovery to really the twin crises that we faced in the last year, the wildfire, Echo Mountain Complex wildfire, and the COVID crisis. We ended up utilizing facilities and services at the Commons as part of our response and recovery. And it's incredible to have that resource available in terms of what we were able to do and continue to do at this time to assist the community. It's a valuable community resource. So I think we added some language in here that reflects that possible use in the future, although cross your fingers, hopefully we'll never have to use it again. We won't be seeing these things, but we're going to be prepared to do so if we need to. So the agreement is basically divided into parts that identify first the purpose, which is, again, as I articulated, it's to establish the various responsibilities and roles of the fair board and the county. And then what those particular responsibilities look like, and identify what each group will be responsible for doing. I do want to make a note that we've really tied this back into, in all facets, tied it back into Oregon revised statutes, Oregon law that talks about county fairs and county fair properties. So we make the appropriate references and identify how this fits in and melds with ORS chapter 536 or 565, excuse me, get the right one here. And that's identified throughout this. And it also talks about really the fair as the primary event in the during the time of the fair, and it's the primary tenant. And as you know, we call this the Lincoln County Commons, home of the Lincoln County Fair. But it also then identifies how we'll actually form the new fair board, what's the membership might look like, what the interests will be of that particular group, and what their responsibilities, specific responsibilities will be. So it gets into some technical aspects of the formation of the fair board and some of the legal aspects on what the officers will do. Also identifies their responsibility for developing the actual fair event and for developing the policies and procedures surrounding that event. It identifies that they will be responsible for the grounds and actually have control of the grounds during the fair event. Very common provision in all the agreements that I've seen. Again, that's really the way that we've handled this locally here. Outside of the fair event, what the responsibility for maintenance and activities on the grounds really falls to the county. And what we're looking at there is the county administrator will be ultimately the responsible county party for determining how that's actually handled. We have some funds and services that person can do. I don't know whether the administrator, him or herself, will do it, whether or not that'll be delegated to some other staff person, whether that might be contracted to an outside party. There's all kinds of options, and we left this flexible and open enough that any of those options can be pursued. But it does say that that's the responsibility of the county to undertake that. And then there's some joint responsibilities between the parties in terms of assistance in developing budgets, in developing resources, and consulting with each other for various events that occur, in dealing with personnel and volunteers and those kinds of things, which again are basically reflective of the current practices that we have. The one thing I would note is that we are looking at, and even though the requirement right now is for the fair board to do a business plan to say this is how they're going to do both short-term and long-term operations for the fair, I think that you're going to see the same thing undertaken by the county. We do have, in fact, it's identified in the Commons Master Redevelopment Plan anyway, is that we need to put together that both a facilities maintenance plan and an operational plan outside of the fair. And that's something that we'll be continuing to do. And then, of course, we just address those things that have to be addressed in terms of operations like budget and finances, insurance, liability, those kinds of things. The one thing we did add into this is that there will be an annual review that's provided, and the ability of the board and the fair board to schedule some joint meetings as needed. And the joint meetings might be to discuss other facilities plans, business plans, operations, funding, those kinds of things. But at least there's the ability to do that. So that's the gist of what is in this particular agreement. And again, I do want to just really reemphasize for the last time that this is very, it follows very closely what is our current practice between the fair board and the county, but it's necessary that we get this thing memorialized, and then we can move forward with changes that are going to occur in the course of the next few months. So with that, I'm going to stop and take any questions that fair board or staff members might have about the draft.
Mr. Geltner, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I would simply say that given the time of day and the fact that we just got that today, that I want to take some quiet time and study it over and then send Wayne some of my comments. So I'll leave it at that.
That's the intent. And this is the first, this was to bring it out to you to have a look at it. We're not looking at trying to adopt anything today.
No, but Wayne, what is the time plan? Are you anticipating that the Fair Board as it's currently constituted will pass on this?
Yes. So the idea is that we can come back and we can talk about this in January. And if we need to take longer period of time, if we need to take 1 more month, that's great. What we will do is work parallel. We're going to start the process to get in front of the board, the process for selecting new Fair Board members. So we're going to get that and actually get started on some applications. And then the board also has to, obviously do their full review of the agreement to make sure from their side, there's no changes they want to see.
Yeah, and given the anticipated change in the Fair Board, and it hopefully is imminent, don't you really think it would be wiser to have the new Fair Board as it's constituted, review and approve this agreement as
No, I actually
opposed
don't,
to
Jim.
those of us that are leaving?
No, I don't, because I think what you need to do is you need to hand them the plan, the floor, the basis on which they're going to proceed. And again, what we don't want to do is we don't want to get into some kind of situation here in terms of management of the grounds. That's what this agreement does, and it gives the total authority to the Fair Board in terms of the fair operations. They need to know that going in, that what their role and responsibility will be the fair and those activities. So no, I actually don't think you want to have this with the new Fair Board. We want to have this groundwork and practice memorialized before they come on, so they know what their responsibilities will be.
All right, then if that's true, when are you looking to the current Fair Board to adopt this?
Well, if you're prepared to do this, it could be as early as January, the January meeting. If you want to take longer to look at it, we could move it off to the February meeting.
Okay,
Right, I
well,
guess the only
It's going to
thing-
take us that long to do the process to recruit new Fair Board members anyway.
All right, if we could just agree that during the month between now and the next meeting, that we're able to start a discussion so that we're not caught in the January meeting dealing with finer details.
That's fine.
I don't have any problem with that.
Just in terms of the general tenor of where this is going, is there any questions or comments or concerns about, the reflection of current practice or anything like that, or something else you'd like me to look into at this point? And this, remember, this is an initial impression. I'm not looking for any final determinations, or maybe as Frank indicated, you want to take more time to read through at all and then come back to me with comments and suggestions.
Well, it's so extensive that I'm going to suggest that we simply move on at this particular point and publish it to the current members of the Fair Board and others who need to see it. Commissioner Hall is not here for today's meeting.
Right.
And then, we, with the understanding that the various Fair Board members can contact Mr. Belmont with questions or comments with regard to this between now and the next meeting.
Yes.
And then we can be prepared to discuss it in more detail at the January meeting. I mean, I'm just seeing it too for the first time. So I don't know why we need to belabor it today. I think, okay, you've given us the overview. So now let's get it out there, and the various appropriate parties can talk to you in the between now and the January meeting, and then in January we can move forward.
That works for me.
However we need to. Work for everybody?
Yep, let's go forward.
Okay, then let's move on. Mr. Belmont, anything else under staff update?
I don't have anything, but I don't know if Mr. Kenyon knows. I know that Jack Whaley was going to look at the possibility of an agreement to demolish the Harney Street building. Do you know whether or not that's made any progress, Roy?
I think that he reached out to the contractor and they were busy kind of until the first of the year.
Okay.
So it was just kind of a time issue, but I know that he did start that process.
Okay.
Is there any other member of county staff that has any input or comment for today's meeting?
I think I'm it.
Well, got anything you want to say, Roy?
No, actually, no, I don't. I haven't seen, heard of anything good or bad, which is, I guess, okay. So I have nothing to report.
And Jack hasn't reported to you any particular problems outside of the normal with respect to the grounds and so forth?
No. I know the road department went over prior to the startup of the vaccinations again for the boosters, and we rocked a connecting road between, I guess, the west and the east end of the exhibit hall. And then a week or two after they started their booster shots, we were asked to go back and put another lift on. So we did that. So that's been the only thing that we've done over there in quite some time.
Okay. Is there anyone who has anything else for today's meeting?
Just to make sure, we do have Colleen Robert in the attendees. Is that someone who would maybe need to add to the conversation?
Oh, Colleen is our open class superintendent. I don't know if she has anything to add, but you could add her quickly.
Okay, great. I just wasn't sure. I'll promote you, Colleen, and then if you had anything you wanted to report on, you have that option.
Are we waiting now for her to connect or what?
I wouldn't think so.
Just authorize her to speak without promoting her to a panelist, like you did Frank. Maybe just do that and we'll ask Colleen.
Yep, she's got that option.
So I guess, Jim, you could just ask Colleen if she has anything to add.
Colleen, do you have anything you wish to add?
No, I'm just interested to see the go forward plan with our fair board and see, where my role works with that and go from there.
Great.
And I'm assuming, Mr. Belmont, that the MOU you discussed earlier will be relatively widely distributed to potential parties so that we can get input from not only the existing folks, but maybe potentially some others as well.
It will. And Todd, of course, can share it with anybody in the 4-H family. And we'll make sure that it's posted on the county website in both the Board of Commissioners element and in the fair element. So it'll be available out there very widely.
All right. Is there anyone who has anything else for today's meeting? All right, hearing none, I will close today's meeting and note that the next regular scheduled meeting for the Lincoln County Fair Board will be January 12th at 2:30 p.m. You took that away from me, Asia, but I think I remembered it right, didn't I?
You did.
All right. All right. The meeting is closed. Thank you, everyone, for attending.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks all.
Bye-bye.
Happy
Bye,
holidays.
Frank.